Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight, our final show right before the Christmas break. How y'all doing? My name is Dave Scott. Tonight we got Rony Vernet here all the way from Brazil to talk about his UFO studies down in South America. It's going to be a great show, and what makes it even better is we have each and every one of you, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, SJ in the silver position, in the studio, taking home a bronze medal tonight. High Road Flair, JSCO, Kitty Cattywack, Robert Lamoth, Fapster. How you doing, buddy? Hi there, Dragonfly. Bill Sardellis is here. Bill Sardellis will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Deanna Ann, what's happening? Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to talk UFOs nice and smoothly. So Mel does a great job lubing us up for this conversation. Kurt M., how you doing? Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, thanks for coming on in. And Search and Destroy. Richard Minnick, Frankie B., how you guys doing? Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? Carol Lamario, what's happening? Hi there, Necessary Dialogue. As we continue on with Roll Call, Brown Dwarf is here, and Nikki in Seattle is here. Nikki in Seattle will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Number 14 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Major Lee, Big J, Kimberly Burgess. Human Carl is here. Human Carl's a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you around here. Hides in Long Grass, how you doing? Welcome back. And Laura Elizabeth, looking lovely tonight. Dee Buchek, good to see you. Deborah Rooney, thank you for coming on in, and thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Dreamstream, welcome to SOR chat. Hi there, Rock and Rory. The lovely and talented Kira, good to see you. Scott Rosen, Flat Six, J Truth Seeker, thank you all for coming on in. Vanessa, good to see you. Hi there, Dave Tiger Williams, good to have you here. The lovely hippie Deidre. How's Vancouver Island tonight? Rainy, I bet. Ethanol. Al Garay over on Twitch did 400 pounds on the incline press 78 times to warm up for tonight's show. He's ready. He's pumped. All right, continuing on. Aloha Dave from Mexico. Good to have you here. Operation Shutdown. Karen in the Woo Train. Boo the Beagle, all the way from Minnesota, where it's cold like up here. Marty Burback, thanks for coming on in as we continue on. There's Jessica S. Dogface Simon, thank you for joining us. All the way from Australia, by the way. We got an international flavor in the chat room tonight. This is awesome. Scrolling on down, we have up next Ivan 007. Good to see you. Noble Patrick, thanks for coming on in as we continue on for your roll call. Super Knower, good to see you. And Bob Thorson, been a while. Glad to have you back. And we're caught up right now. All right, let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to be talking to Rony Vernet here momentarily. He covers the UFO/UAP story in the beautiful country of Brazil, and we are in roll call right now as we say thank you to Major Lee for a great super chat all the way from the UK. Thank you, Lee, for your love and support. Very much appreciate you, my man. Yeah, that's grifting right there, buddy. Total grifting right there. Candy, how are you? Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call here. And I forgot to close the studio door. Give me 2 seconds. All right, there we go. Doors closed. Now we can actually get to work. Thomas Rock, how are you? Paul Demon, thanks for coming on in. And reminder, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. And don't forget, while you're listening, to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an awesome show tonight talking UFOs all the way down in Brazil. Rony Vernet is here. He's going to talk about his incredible research momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we're going to have Swamp Dweller kick things off with another creepy story. Follow that up by Jackie Harmon. And I believe Lee Strauss, the extra small, is going to come on in and join us as well. Well, no time like the present. Let's get to our guest here. Rony Vernet is a Brazilian-based electronics and computer engineer working towards his Master's of Science in Physics. He also is a UAP researcher and founder of the UAPBrazil.com website and organization, a group of Brazilian researchers working to investigate UAP cases in Brazil. From late June through the first week of July 2024, Rony was on an expedition in a remote part of the Amazon, researching reported UAP phenomena with the Yawanana. I knew I was going to butcher that. Indigenous tribe in the Acre province. We're going to learn all about that. He's going to teach me how to say that properly. I believe it's Yawanawa. I believe that's it. Yawanawa. So let's get right to it. Rony Vernet, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming in.
Hi, Dave. Good night for you and for the audience. Thanks for having me. And you're right, Yawanawa. It's if you split in 2 parts, it's easier to say. So Yawanawa. Now it's easier.
I figured that one out. You got to realize, as a former space sports journalist, it drives me nuts when I butcher a name or a territory. Drives me absolutely crazy. Like, I feel like we should just stop the show and just quit right there while we're behind. But no, we got to keep going. We have to. Thank you very much for coming on. And I know it's late. It's around 2 a.m. your time when you're doing this. What, you being a man of science and a man of study, what attracts you to the UFO story?
Well, since I was a child in Brazil, I grew up here with many documentaries, many series about UFOs. You know that Brazil has a long history of very incredible incidents involving UFOs, like, for example, the Operation Saucer in the 70s. In the 80s, we had the official UFO night where all the territory of Brazil was invaded by UFOs. In the 90s, we had the Virginia case that James Fox documentary covered a lot. And we have a lot of these stories along many decades. So I grew up here in Brazil with all this stuff, but I only went to do active research since 4 years ago, when the stigma uh, decreased a lot. I was very afraid about my career. I worked for the government as engineer for a long time. So when since 4 years ago, then when I have my first experiences with UFOs, doing some field research. But as you asked it, as the question, I grew up with this a very curious mind of scientists. I saw these documentaries. I was asking, "Oh, this is true, or this is just stories that people are telling?" But at the same time, we have all the government investigating it. We had the Air Force, we have the Army. So I grew up with this curiosity mind. So this curiosity that drove me to research this more recently.
So, as you have started to study and learn about this subject, what has intrigued you the most about it? What has really kind of driven you to learn more?
I think the this aspect of this phenomena that most intrigues me is because in Brazil we have many close encounters with people where people was literally attacked, people that was hit by light beams, and cases that are very well investigated. We have a lot of official documentation. So this kind of close encounters that we have in Brazil in very remote areas is the aspect of the phenomena that intrigues me more.
When you look at the phenomena and the way it's affected people, you know, it is something that we do have to track a little bit closer. What made you start UAPBrazil.com? Because I would assume that is very much like what we would consider MUFON up here in North America.
Yeah, I think in Brazil had a lack of serious scientific people, engineers and scientists researching the phenomena. So my main goal doing it in UAP Brazil was to reunite not only traditional ufologists, but also bring scientists, bring engineers, bring physicists to take a look at this phenomena. And it wasn't a time where that New York Times article was released in 2017, and 3 years after that, in 2020, in the middle of COVID pandemic, I had this idea. At the same time, when I was starting to receive a lot of documentation from cases in indigenous villages inside of the Brazilian forest in the Amazon. So this all happened at the same time. Same time, I had my first experiences doing field investigations, because, as I said, I was very curious to see it by myself. I needed that proof by myself to. So this all happened at the same time, and this is what made me search more and more about the phenomena. So, but the main motivation was to bring these people that was not linked to the old UFO stuff, people that never looked into the UFO phenomenon before, so to take a new look. So this is my main motivation.
How has the response been for you starting this up and bringing researchers together to collaborate?
At the beginning, people were very skeptic about that, but when I started to get new documents about the investigations from Brazilian government, people started in Amazon. People started to look more and more at this document and started to see it with another view of the phenomena. more serious. So I think this document that I obtained was a key thing for people to these people that was not used to have UFO stuff, UAP stuff, to get it more serious.
Mm-hmm. And have you found the scientific community starting to jump on board with the popularity of this subject starting to grow mainstream?
Yes, it's something very recent. As I said, maybe 3 to 4 years ago it started a lot. So and right now we have people like Gary Nolan, people like Avi Loeb, Beatriz Villarreal, physicists, scientists that are looking very, very close to this phenomenon. So, and in Brazil also, I have by my side physicists and other scientists that are looking to this stuff. So, I think the science is getting more and more involved in the UFO phenomenon.
When we look down from here, at least I'm going to speak for me here for a second. When I look down there and people that I've talked to, it always seems that a lot of the reports down there, Ronnie, are of ETs that seem a lot more aggressive than what we see up here. Is that true, or is it just stigma of the stories that come out, like Virginia?
No, it's very true. I think Brazil is the country that will have more of these close encounters, and we don't. I'm not saying isolated close encounters. I'm saying, for example, Operation Saucer, we had two states that was swept by this phenomena entirely on the coast of two entire states in Brazil, huge states in Brazil, affected many communities. More than 30 cities was affected, and many of the cities people simply evaded, migrated for other areas because of these attacks. So this, I think, I'm sure that's not happening this way in other parts of the world. You have okay in other parts of the world isolated cases, but in Brazil, it's different
Why is it different?
because of this type of operation. For example, as I said, Operation Saucer, or the case more recently in the Amazon forest, where the phenomena start to affect one community, two communities, and when we see the phenomena just swept by 20, 30 communities in huge areas. So it's like something like a military operation because of the phenomena. We start to analyze all this area, doing this, send these light beams on people, affecting them a lot. Have these cases happening for months. It's not one day, 1 week, or 2, 3 months happening, and this kind of behavior with long stay of the phenomena affecting people this close way. I think is the reason that we only see in Brazil.
How often are you getting reports for your group?
Recently, we had many cases in Brazilian Amazon in forest. In 2000, this year, 2024, in May, it started a huge wave of these cases of UFOs entering the house of the people, staying, observing people above their houses in indigenous villages. And in this year, this phenomenon affected almost 10 communities, indigenous communities along Gregory River, very deep inside Amazon, which was the place I visited this year. And since May, it happened with huge, very big activity until August to July. So maybe we had 3 months of very, very heavy activity, close encounters between this phenomena and these indigenous people.
Wow. Do you find then that the majority of these sightings are happening in populated areas, maybe like Rio de Janeiro, or is it happening more in the smaller villas or areas where indigenous people live?
Yeah, for example, you have the state of Rio de Janeiro. I live in the capital, which is named also Rio. And in Rio, we don't have any cases in populated areas in Brazil. We don't have any cases. The phenomena always manifest in isolated areas. For example, if I get the state of Rio, the metropolitan area, it doesn't happen. It happens only in state of Rio, in rural areas, very isolated areas in Rio, where we have only plantations, only people cultivating things. So where we don't have any people there, low density population. In these cases, the phenomenon manifests, but in these areas very close to capital is more like, oh, the phenomena is passing here, phenomena, many sightings, but not these close encounters with people where people are affected, people are receive these light beams. This more aggressive, more serious cases only happens mainly in Amazon forest, mainly in these low, very, very, very low density population areas. And I think this is the reason why the phenomenon manifests more heavy here in these areas, because Brazil is a huge place, a continental territory, and we have a lot of very preserved nature, very preserved environment where we have dense forests, huge areas of dense forests with no people living, or very, very few people living, like this very small communities of indigenous people. So I think the phenomena likes a lot to do this kind of experiments, if you could call experiments, with these isolated populations, low level education, because we know that the behavior of the phenomena is to hide from the big cities, hide from the very educated people. I think this phenomena want to remain in shadows, so affect these little communities with low educated people. I think it's a way to not give much information about itself. So I think this is the reason the phenomena manifests more here.
What do you think the phenomena is?
Well, when I started studying it, I was more to, because of my electronic engineer and physicist, I started to look more to the technological aspect of the phenomena. At the beginning, I was thinking that it was like very technological extraterrestrials coming from a world where they had a lot of much advanced. But more and more as to the phenomena, I'm going to more esoteric interpretation, if you will, more spiritual interpretation that some people call interdimensional. So because we see things that where the technological aspect is like only the tip of the iceberg of the phenomenon. It's like where we saw the James Lacasse from West governments talking about, oh, we have this huge craft. When we enter the craft, there is no energy source on the craft. There's no propulsion technology on the craft. It's like just empty space, and how it works. So this is crazy because it seems that this technology cannot cannot function separated by the intelligence that is controlling it. And so it's kind of something like literally magical. So in Brazil, we have the same. We have people like the phenomenon manifesting in many, many different aspects. For example, we have people that see humans in this craft, people that see creatures, people that saw some cases where one people look at one shape of the craft, people that was right beside these people look at another shape. So it's like the phenomena manifests itself depending of the consciousness of the observer. What's crazy. So this is why I think that is not only the technological aspect, but something related to something more spiritual, more esoteric. For example, if the people is very religious, the phenomena manifests like something like a saint or Jesus or something like that. And if people are more people from that live in a rural area, sometimes manifest like humans with cowboy clothes and something like that. So I think that the phenomena hides itself in according to what the observer could interpret about that, about the cultural and religious behavior of the observer. So this is something that I believe is more like, as I said, spiritual, religious, esoterical type of stuff, and have this component, technological component, that I think maybe is something that is being projected in our world, because technology is a way where we humans connect to the reality, this materialistic view. So, but I think this is only a tip of iceberg what the phenomena is. I think the main component of the phenomena is this link between the phenomena and the observer consciousness. I think this is what we really need to focus.
Do you think the phenomena is all encompassing? It's paranormal, it's cryptid monsters, it's UFOs, it's aliens, it's near-death experiences, it's psychic ability, or do you see it as something different?
Yeah. I think we have other reality. And why I think that? Because of the testimonies I get all the time from people from south of Brazil and the west of Brazil and north of Brazil. And Brazil is a very huge place, and all these people goes the same direction, the testimony of these people. For example, I have many cases where we have these cryptid creatures, and what is common between them is that in Brazil, they are always hybrids between humans and animals, different animals, pigs, horses, dogs, and so on. And what's common between these creatures, they had always red eyes, a very, very strong smell of sulfur, ammonia, or something like that, like the Virgin creature, that, by the way, was a hybrid between a human and amphibious. And we have a lot of these other creatures with the same aspect of red eyes and bad smell. And in many cases, people say, oh, this started to happen when that guy started to do these dark magic rituals. And I heard this a lot of in Brazil. So I think, starting to think that all these creatures, all the phenomena, maybe is the spark to happen. This phenomena is something that connects our world to this very thin membrane that separates another world where all these creatures are coming. And I think the human consciousness is the key to permit these creatures to reach our world. So, for example, doing this kind of rituals, maybe it's what people could call a portal to these creatures. And it's very often people say to me, Rony, I started with this kind of abductions right after I deal with these dark rituals, these demonic rituals. When I started to do that, I get these abductions in my life, this abduction problem. So I think the because of all that testimonies, that the phenomena maybe don't have a lot of power to come to our world by itself, but if we humans permit that, doing some works like that, some rituals, I think we can open this kind of portals to create this space from this thin membrane to these creatures come and associate with your conscious. So I think the phenomenon has this aspect of being very, very, very close to us, and at the same time can come to our world by our own will with this kind of stuff.
Rony Vernet, UAPBrazil.com is his website. We're going to get into aliens when we return on Spaced Out Radio with Ronnie. Take care, everybody, because we got a lot of show left as we get into the UFO phenomena in South America. We'll be right back. That was a good start, man. Good start. Very knowledgeable question.
I think we have the as I said, I started with this technological stuff, and more and more people, more cases that I visit, I'm starting to go into this more weird esoteric stuff, because there is a limit when you see the simple technological advanced civilization cannot explain what's happening with these people. This kind of abductions, these links between, for example, I can talk again, but in Operation Saucer, the people that was affected with light beams started to create like a connection with this intelligence, where they started to presence these abductions, this like presence influencing their minds. It was common people say, "Oh, I think I'm going to be crazy because of this influence of this consciousness of this intelligence in my mind." So this is something that is very, very, very weird about the phenomena.
You sound like you have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Me too. I'm not a researcher. I'm an experiencer and a dude who just knows how to talk in a microphone through a journalism degree. So that's all I do. Just trying to figure it all out. But hey, it's all good. I love hearing stories like your reports and everything that you're saying. I'm just fascinated by everything right now.
And it's very funny to see the interpretation of indigenous people that never read nothing about extraterrestrials and so on. So they have very, very different interpretations than regular people. So it's crazy to see this cultural shock between something that's very intelligent, very maybe technological, and people that very, very low educated level, very isolated. So it's something very different.
Oh, very, very much so, dude. Very much so. All right. We go to about 2.5 minutes here.
Okay.
Excuse me. You're confidential, Shelley. You're confidential. Do you get out in the field often?
Yes, a lot.
Well, that's good.
The stuff that I like more, to be in contact with the phenomena.
Yeah. That's very exciting. I have to do mine pendant on weather. Because you don't want to be outside when it gets real cold up here. You don't want to be outside looking for UFOs, even though those are the best sky to look at.
Yeah, I think this is the advantage of Brazil, because Brazil, the winter is very, very weak. So it's a hot winter in Brazil. So
yeah,
disadvantage. So in the winter, I go a lot, because in the winter, I don't know why, but in the winter, the phenomena has a peak of activity here.
Yeah, right now it's nice and warm here at 1 degree Celsius.
Whoa. In Rio, the winter is 20 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's heaven. That's
And
heaven.
now in the summer is 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's terrible. Terrible. Mm-hmm. All right. Big thank you tonight so far to Deb times 2, Major Lee, and Simon for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. And here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFOs over Brazil. My name is Dave Scott. We are so glad to have you here, tuning us in to listen to these great stories. Want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Rony Vernet is here from the beautiful country of Brazil, talking about UFOs over his country. Yes, this is a worldwide phenomena that we are dealing with. Rony, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Dave.
What kind of extraterrestrial contact are people having there?
Mainly in Brazil, we have this, the typical incident is you have this sometimes a sphere of light, sometimes a light, but behind the light we have a vehicle, aerial vehicle, cylindrical, spherical, metallic vehicle. Sometimes they see people inside, like different humans, not grays and other stuff, but it's like different humans. And from this vehicle, we have these light beams shot on people. After that, this light beam, people start to have a lot of physiological symptoms like dizziness, like headaches, like fatigue, fever, redness on the skin, sometimes burns. And this is what we have more aggressive in Brazil in the 70s and also recently in indigenous communities. Besides that, we had these cases where they encountered beings in Brazil, many cryptids, like, as I said, hybrids between humans and animals, many different animals. And as I said, there is a lot of correlation suggesting that a lot of information correlating dark rituals with this appearance of these beings in some areas. As I say, these creatures are all the time hybrids, humanoids, but with animal characteristics. And as I said, red eyes and this bad smell. This is very common in all regions of Brazil. You have the chupacabra, for example, have the Varginha, but you have other names that we don't have translations, like werewolf and other, something like that. Our Bigfoot, and we have another names for that. It's not the same Bigfoot, for example, that you have in US and Canada. It's a different type of creature, but have some similarities. And this is very common in Brazil. I think this is the most common case in Brazil, besides these light sightings and sometimes attacking people, with these cryptid creatures. And And this is, I think, this is the cases that we see more often here.
Why do you think the aliens that seem to visit Brazil always seem more aggressive, more menacing than what we hear of here in North America?
I think we have these very isolated communities that lives very, very far from any big city in Brazil. Okay, in US you have some indigenous communities also, but in Brazil we have this very, very, very isolated, deep inside forest with really no civilization even close to that. For example, to go to the Amazon, I needed to get 8 hours by car and 8 hours by boat, 6 hours by plane, so almost 24 hours of traveling three different mediums to reach a very isolated place. So I think in the fact that we have a very, very preserved forest here in Amazon, north and northwest of Brazil, almost entirely covered by forest. I think this is the reason, because as we see, the phenomena wants to stay in shadows. The phenomena wants to hide itself. The phenomena doesn't want to give a lot of more information to people start to figure out what is this. The phenomena here, it deceives, do some manipulation. As I said, the phenomena sometimes change disappearance depend of the observer. And I think the only reason to do that is to hide this the very, very original nature of itself. So I think this is the reason we have these cases happening. And maybe, as I said, these isolated populations, because of the very, very low education in Brazil in these areas, maybe it's something that is advantage for the phenomena to remain in shadows. Maybe it's advantage to manipulate more easily these people. So this, I think, is the reasons the phenomena manifests more here. It's something like a predator looking for the easiest prey. I think this is the metaphor that we can see here.
Do people get abducted there? Or are they
Yeah,
just terrorized by these creatures?
no, people. There are a lot of stories where people were abducted, people that simply disappear of the contact of the phenomena. And but we have a lot of stories of abductions here in Brazil. And I heard from people. People all the time send me letters. My boxes are full of stories of incidents. When I travel to do field research, I also like to talk with these people in isolated areas, because when you talk with people in isolated areas, we have these people um more immune to noise from, for example, movies and other people's stories that we see in big cities. So I think we have more pure testimonies from people that live isolated, and these people say that they are also abducted. And it's interesting that we have not only the gray type of beings, but we have many types of creatures. And this type of creatures depends, I think, of the cultural belief, the religious belief. As I said, sometimes they appear in the image of saints if people is Christian, or the people. And maybe this is to manipulation of the phenomena, to say, okay, you see, I'm something that you know by your religious belief, a cultural belief. Don't be afraid. I don't want to do nothing bad to you. But I think this is the phenomena deceiving and manipulation to 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 do what the phenomena wants. And in many cases, as I said, we have many correlations between demonic possession and abduction. I think it's something that is very linked. And curious thing that it affects a lot of young girls. That's something that we see in movies. These demonic possessions with young girls. I think that maybe these young girls are more sensitive, more connected to this spiritual world, and consequently, maybe more easier to connect with these beings that want to maybe, and I don't know the reason why they do that, but maybe to suck the energy of the people. And suck the energy is the classical thing that people in Brazil say in these aggressive cases where they are affected by these light beings and by this intelligence trying to connect with the mind of these people after this attack. And people say, "Oh, I'm very weak. I have a lot of fatigue." It's like this being sucked my energy, and this is the reason that in the 70s they don't call it here in Brazil extraterrestrial aliens. They call it the sucker. It's because this behavior of these vampires that are sucking the energy of the people. This is what way the people felt at that time.
Is there panic about these? Like when they're coming in waves like this, is there panic about people who get taken? Are they following lineages of families, or are they just picking whoever?
It's a phenomenon that migrates. Sometimes it simply sleeps and starts again, do another wave and sleeps, and do it again and again and again throughout the history of Brazil, always in these isolated communities. And the behavior of these human beings in these communities is always the same. They started to reunite the humans, the women, and the children start to reunite in the same houses. That they get the biggest house of the community, and all days they stay there together. The men of the village get the shotguns and start to hunt and do these videos to do the security of the community. They stops to hunt. They stops to fish because afraid to when doing these activities to get interactions with this intelligence that are visiting them. And they start to have starvation, and they start to call attention of the government, from the mayors of the closest cities, from the governors. And the governors call the air force, the military, and starts operations. And when they do the operation, they never can solve that. They only can get a few data about the phenomena. And when this happened, the government just bend his knees and start to pray to this be over, because they know historically that this phenomena happens with this inside these communities, and after some 2 or 3 months, the phenomenon is over, and they know that they cannot solve. They just pray to this phenomena to go towards the end. So this is the script of the story that happens again and again here.
You mentioned that they pray for the phenomena to go away. Do people there believe this is some sort of religious experience, that maybe it is fallen angels or demons from Beelzebub himself?
Yeah, we have positive cases where people alleged was cured by some disease. They say, "Oh, an angel was here and cured my cancer," or something like that. But I heard more stories about bad things than they call demonic, because in Brazil, 90% of people is religious from Christianity. So they are more, they use this word demonic because of the religion of Christians says the demonic. So they always correlate with that. And there are interesting, there are many cases when people say these beings came or this ship came, and people start to to pray to this go away, literally praying for Jesus and something like that, and the phenomena goes away. So I think that's something that's very religious about this thing. I think, as I said, maybe this is demonic is a word from religion, but maybe you have a better word for that, like negative entities or something like the negative intelligence. But this is true when people start to pray in front of this phenomenon. In many cases, the phenomena go away like something demonic that is recognizing the power of Jesus, of something like that, power of God, and he avoids it. So this is why I think that's something true about when people say, "Oh, I think this phenomena can be something demonic and something like that," because this is this is what happens in these encounters.
Hmm. I could totally see that. I could totally see where people would, trying to line the two, especially if, they're like boogeymen in the dark that are just, taking people and robbing people. You mentioned something very curious here a couple of minutes ago where in these villages, the men will bring out their shotguns and go looking for these creatures. Are these creatures using the jungle as camouflage, or are they hopping back on their ships and getting sucked back up into them to fly away?
Yeah, they always do this behavior. Say, so this vehicle, the aerial vehicle comes, descends in the near the ground. Sometimes these beings goes off the vehicle. It's not common. This is more rare. But sometimes they descend of the vehicle and affect people or get people with hands or something like that to get to the ship. But the most common here in Brazil is the vehicle descends and sends this light beam to people. And this light beam, I suspect that the phenomena projects, materializes this technology just to hide itself from their real appearance. I think maybe they use this materialization of technology to hide, and people say, "Oh, you see, it's just extraterrestrials, it's people from another world." But in fact, this is just a manipulation, does it just a deceiving. As I said, sometimes you have this craft that if you have this craft here, if government, U.S. government have this craft here, no way it will works because this is just a material that cannot work without the manipulation, the control of these intelligence beings, because it's just a projection of materialization here. So I think the technology is just a shell of the phenomena to deceive and to hide his real appearance.
Hmm. Are people vanishing there? Much like, we'll have people just disappear under strange circumstances here?
Yes, we have from these cases in 70s, from these cases more recently indigenous villages. We have a lot of people that simply disappear, and sometimes we have witnesses. Oh, this guy, I saw a light close to him, and after that he disappeared. So I have a lot of cases here about that. Not only abductions where the people returns, but cases where people have contacted phenomena and simply disappear.
Are they disappearing and not coming back? Or are they missing time and be back like the next day or a few hours later?
Both cases.
Hmm. Wow, that's interesting. And how many reports like that are you getting?
It's rare. No, it's not very common to get reports like that. We have more reports of people being affected by these light beams. Maybe from 100 people affected, maybe 5% is people that was missed or had missing time. So this is like the statistics.
We got about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. From UAPBrazil.com, Rony Vernet is here tonight. Rony, when you look at a case where people are having ET contact, what are some of the signs that you look for that it's a relevant case?
Yeah, for example, in Amazon, I installed a station where I have a lot of cameras, different cameras like fisheye cameras. This is all sky camera that I can look for all the sky. I have thermal cameras, the traditional security cameras. I have also many sensors like nuclear radiation, ionizing radiation. I have electromagnetic sensors like that can measure magnetic field, electric field, also radio frequency in case of some vehicle send some radio frequency. So these are the most common sensors and cameras I use here to try to get data of the phenomenon.
What do people report to you who are having these strange alien encounters? Can you give us an example of what they're going through? Not so much on what they are seeing, but what they're going through on a personal level?
Yes. As I said, sometimes this contact with the phenomena happens right after people start to deal with these dark religions, these dark rituals. It's very common. People say, "Oh, I did a dark ritual to obtain money or to obtain fame, obtain something like that." And right after that, it starts the phenomena of abductions and start the phenomena to get in contact, mainly in dormitory, mainly in the sleep rooms. And I think, but what I'm seeing here, that the most cases of abductions, I would say, I cannot say 100% because I don't know, but maybe 95% of cases are not physical, but intelligence. I opened the door for this intelligence, and I like to play with that. It's like something analogous to uh, our protection of a body when against diseases like virus and bacteria. And I have also our protection from spiritual beings. It's like, for example, these beings were parasites or something like that. And sometimes I can open this door and they came, not physically, but they like can couple with our conscious and play games with our conscious. And I knew people that get literally crazy after this started to happen. People that had mental derangement, mental regression, and started to behave like a little child. This is happening in Amazon. So I think it's very dangerous. Sometimes people open the door and have this intelligence playing with the conscience, playing games. And I think abduction is literally a game. I don't know if you probably saw that old film from Fred Krueger, The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yes.
When this intelligence, this is perfect for me, the analogies, because it's literally Freddy Krueger connecting with your consciousness, and when you sleep, you are more susceptible to that. He will enter your mind and play games with you and start to degrade your mind with these games. What main goal? To dominate your consciousness. And when you dominate your consciousness, we know what can happen very bad with people, the consequences. But people have these very, very bad negative feelings in their mind. So, and I knew people that had these decrees. So I think this is something very, very nefarious, and that's happened here.
Do you find that this phenomena, we got about 30 seconds, that this phenomena is affecting more adults or children?
More children. Children are more susceptible to that. It's like they are more sensitive, I think, to this, open this door.
Weird. Let's get into that when we return on Spaced Out Radio, because I think it's very interesting when kids are involved, because this is something children, I don't think, should be dealing with too often. I mean, they're not old enough to be doing that, that's for sure. And running away with aliens is never a good thing, at times at least. So, our good friend Ronnie Vernet is here. UAPBrazil.com is his website. Be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, my friend, we got about 6 minutes here. I'm going to put you in the back room. I'm going to disappear for a couple minutes, and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's go in here. Major Lee, you're going nuts on the super chats tonight. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lee. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you. Let's get Ronnie back in here. Ronnie, I'm really enjoying this, man. You're extremely knowledgeable and a great storyteller. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Wolf, how you doing? Woo Poo, how you doing? All right. Ozzy Ange, please let me know if I'm alive tomorrow. That'd be great. Thank you to Major Lee times 5, as well as Matthew, Deb times 2, and Simon for the great super chats tonight. We greatly appreciate the love and support. Hi, Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. And here we go. Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's second hour tonight with Ronnie Vernet. UFOs over Brazil is the topic. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you joining us during this beautiful holiday season. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Jeremiad. I'm assuming it's Jeremiad. Jeremiad is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. From UAPBrazil.com, we have our guest tonight, Ronnie Vernet. He is going over some major UFO stories that are happening in Brazil. And Ronnie, I want to kick this off because I do want to get to this drone fascination we all have right now with what's going on in the U.S. especially. But I want to ask you a few more questions about your beautiful country, Brazil. Do you think that the Amazon River and the power of that river, the mystique of that river, has a lot to do with these UFO sightings?
Yeah, not only the river, but the forest itself. In this forest of Amazon have many huge trees that the indigenous say it's sacred. I was there in Amazon just months ago, and the phenomenon was manifesting in and out a location where is located a big tree that we call the Samauma. And then when asked the indigenous, they said, "No, the Samauma is for us is a portal for spiritual beings. This tree is in fact a door where these beings from the forest can in and out." And I was shocked about the information because I didn't know about that. And also the rivers, as you mentioned, we have these really big, huge rivers that are like seas of the Amazon, and very often this phenomena goes in and out of the river, and maybe it's using the river to move between communities. Because when you get these cases in Amazon, for example, that happened in 2023, we have a huge UFO flapping Peruvian jungle connected to the Brazilian jungle. If you get the map, the phenomena manifests community after the community along the river. So it's like it's following the river path. And we are seeing a lot of cases that happen in the US, also in Nebraska and Colorado in 2019. And right now, as you said, in New Jersey, where you see also the phenomena in water reservoirs, in rivers. So there's a lot of connection between the phenomena and the waters. We don't know why, but the connection is there.
Do you think that these UFO craft are wanted by the or let me rephrase that. Do you think these UFO craft are using the river as maybe some sort of mapping system or fuel system?
Yeah, we can think about that in two ways: in a more technological way or more esoteric way. In more technological way, we can say that maybe they're using the water to refresh, to cool the vehicle, the craft, or maybe using to separate hydrogen, for example, and give fuel to feed with the craft with fuel, or maybe simply using the water to move without being noted. Um, this is technologically, but if you think in more esoteric way, maybe they use water simply as a portal, some kind of like water is something sacred, and they can use the water as a medium to materialize, for example, and can use the old story about the elementals, where you can use the rock, the mountains to materialize. You can use the vegetables, the trees to materialize. You can use the water to materialize. I don't know. Maybe there is something to that stories about elementals and involving this phenomena, the capacity and how they can appear here, what they use to appear here. So I think we have maybe these two hypotheses.
Hmm. The idea that there is a phenomena happening down there. Have you heard of major military operations trying to crash bases or landing areas of these craft?
We have cases, not bases. I don't recall any stories about military investigating bases here, but we had in the past a lot of stories of crashed uh, crafts. Uh, for example, we have the famous story in Magé in Rio. It's a very isolated place in the state of Rio, a little far from where I live in the capital, in Rio. And you have this story about the craft that landed. They did the operation there. That they say the military say the army say that was only a training, but this training is not registered anywhere. We have the Virginia. A lot of discussion if we had craft in Virginia or only the beings, and have the army deeply involved about that. So yeah, a lot of cases uh, where we have these alleged crafts and the Brazilian army involved studying it. But never we have never a confirmation about that. Like for example, Roswell, where I have a lot of military telling, okay, the craft crashed here, it was here. Um I saw the piece of the craft. So in Brazil, we don't have any confirmation like that. For example, you see in Roswell.
Hmm. That is amazing because, I've heard stories, and I don't know how true they are. They are literally third-hand stories here that there have been cases down there where these Anubis type creatures have been seen. These dogman Anubis type creatures have been seen, and one of the cases that I heard from a gentleman, former ex-military, Jody Cook from the Dogman North American Dogman Project. He came on this show and said he received a couple of reports afterwards from people who had listened and said that they were, special forces that actually went down there to try and help the Brazilian government take care of some of these creatures. Have you heard any wild stories like that?
These creatures like hybrids between humans and animals, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have many stories where, for example, a small community, all the community saw this creature, these cryptid or hybrids, and the army came to capture or to simply try to help these people. But these only stories that we have. We don't have any official documentation confirming operation like that, but we have a lot of stories here with many credible witnesses that say that's happening, but only stories.
How has the Brazilian government reacted to this phenomena?
As I said, they are very afraid of this, mainly because we have these encounters, these close encounters with population here, get the people in panic. If it's indigenous, they stop to hunt or to fish, so they have this problem of starvation. And in all these cases, we have panic in these small communities. The people start to not go out after the 6 p.m., that when the sun sets, and the phenomenon always come when the sun sets. And this is a big problem that government knows. The government is aware that cannot solve. Sometimes they send some soldiers, some military, some police to these locations just to try to relieve the suffering of these people, but they know that they cannot do anything because they had many experiences with that along the history in Brazil. So as I said, the only thing that they can do is to bend the knees and pray to this go away. And the congressman, the representative, the senators are very, very worried about that, because it seems that situation escalated in Amazon in last years. So I talked with a lot of them. I have contact with a lot of them, these politicians, and they are very afraid about this escalation of the situation.
If there is that fear going on, the one thing that we do know about Brazil, at least from this angle, they've been a lot more open about their files, their open contact, that this phenomena is going on, comparatively to what we're seeing here in North America, where there's still a lot of denial and people not talking about it. Why do you think the Brazilian government has been a little bit more open towards their disclosure?
I think some cultural. The military was much more open than other parts of the world, much more than U.S. For example, some years ago, the Brazilian Air Force opened the red quarters to invite ufologists to came to see materials, see documents. At that time, they released many documents of this visit. So, for example, the official UFO night in Brazil in the 80s, where Brazil was invaded by dozens of UFOs in many states, something like that is happening in U.S. right now. At that time, the commander of the Air Force did a press conference to say, yes, the phenomenon was here. We don't know what it is. Our pilots tried to intercept that, no success. The phenomenon played with our best jets. So this is one example that talks a lot the openness of the Brazilian military regarding the phenomenon. But I think it's more cultural than we don't have this. And when I say cultural, we don't have this culture of secret like U.S. since the nuclear project, Manhattan Project, and so on. I think we didn't have that in Brazil, this kind of secrets. So I think that is a reason why we are more open.
But a healthy fear and respect for it too.
Sorry?
But a healthy fear and respect for it too.
Sure. The military has a lot of respect about the phenomena, take very serious. They don't do jokes about that. They recognize it's a real phenomena. It's something that they cannot explain. This is the reason that they do not release all the things that they have, because we have the General Brigadier José Carlos Pereira many years ago saying that we released everything that was possible. Because if we release everything, we will have many questions that we cannot answer, and the Brazilian military has the duty to protect the citizens. So if they release, they have to assume, okay, and that is something that we cannot protect you. So this is the reason of this part of this, the core part of the secret that was not released right now.
One of our listeners who tunes in frequently, Joe, is in Brazil as well. He says, me and my family saw a jellyfish-like spaceship. Back in 2002, there were 10 of us. It was near Serra do Mar.
Yeah, this is a region very as a hotspot of the phenomena. We have close to the sea. Translating this is like the hills from the sea, because in Brazil we have many coastal regions with a lot of mountain ridge, and these places are a hotspot of the phenomena. And yeah, we have many crazy things here, many different types of this aerial phenomena here, like this maybe organic, that the jellyfish that we also saw in US is trending. The last report from the ARROW, the investigation body of the US government, acknowledged this type of strange shape. So this is something that happens also here.
Very interesting. What kind of craft are people seeing there? Speaking of the jellyfish.
Recently, sorry?
Speaking of the jellyfish, what kind of craft are people seeing there?
Yeah, just jellyfish type is not common. This organic type is not common, very common. It's rare. What we see more recently is orbs, spherical objects. Orbs, we see luminous orbs a lot. I have seen them a lot of times, more than 10 times here in different, logically only isolated place, not in the cities. But people also report cylindrical shapes. In Brazil, have a lot of vertical cylinders, not the classic cigarette shape, but vertical cylinders, and sometimes triangles also, and discs. I think these are the most common shapes we see here in testimonials from people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had the black triangles or the common disc-shaped objects that, revealed the term of flying saucers. So you are getting those as well. It's not just a North American phenomena.
Yeah, I receive a lot of people that saw triangles, that classic triangle that with one light in each corner, sometimes one light in the middle. I receive a lot of close encounters triangles here.
What's your thoughts on this whole drone thing?
From New Jersey?
In New Jersey, and it's been seen all over the place.
Yeah, the regular people don't know that this phenomenon in US is something that's happening decades ago. It's just starting to increase. If you get the mayors in New Jersey, they say, "Oh, this is nothing new. This I heard about that 1 year ago." But the question is, this phenomena is increasing in frequency. So this is what people are more worried. And right now you can see it was at the beginning only in military bases. This was classic since 2000. We have this TikTok and other cases in US where this harassment, UFO harassment against fighter jets, against ships, against military bases. This is nothing new. And this, I think the difference right now is that the regular citizens are seeing that in the cities, biggest cities like New Jersey, New York. So I think I'm researching a lot these cases. I'm in contact with a lot of witnesses. What I think is happening is that we have a mix of a lot of helicopters, regular commercial planes, drones, fighter jets, mix it with a small percentage of anomalous phenomena. And maybe some of these military craft, like the drones, like the helicopters, are searching for this anomalous phenomena. We had a very, very impressive case. For me, was the best case in this season in New Jersey that happened in Round Valley. Multiple witnesses saw orbs, luminous orbs, very close to the water from the Round Valley Reservoir near the city of Lebanon. And after that, they had messages saying, okay, drone crashed. It was the military and the police thought that something crashed on the area, on the reservoir. They came with FBI or state police helicopters to that, and witnesses said that this orb simply disappeared. And after that helicopter ran away, the orb started to land again, and people had many videos with these orbs there in Round Valley. So I think we have a mix. And as I said, I think a lot of military monitoring this anomalous phenomena. And also, when people start to go in panic mode because of this lot of things in the air, flying very low, but it's not common. Everything that people see in the sky becomes anomalous. So commercial flights, drones, everything that's passing, people start to think it's anomalous, start to take videos, pictures. But in fact, I think the most of them are explainable by this craft. The difference for me is right now have a lot of military and police assets searching for this phenomenon there. It's the only thing that can explain for me this huge activity in low altitude on these areas. I really think this is what's happening.
You mentioned that they are on the search for these things. Does that mean the phenomena is constantly moving on and moving forward there with strange encounters?
Moving on, what you could?
Well, moving around the country and making things very strange and weird.
Yeah, people say that these things are coming from the ocean, and we have a lot of sightings in reservoirs, in lakes also. And we have this kind of, for me, it's like some kind of monitoring some of the place, some mapping of the areas from critical infrastructure and critical assets like military bases, energy plants, reservoirs. And I think it's a kind of monitoring. It's very, very, I think this is why the mayors and the congressmen, senate is very worried, because the military use it to have these things on their military base all the time. And I think they kind of adapted to that. So I'll have this happening since 2000, never happened. We cannot track them. We cannot do anything about them. So just let them here. It's not a threat for us because nothing happened until now. I think this is the message they want to pass to the population, but it doesn't make sense, because if you have something that monitored you for 20 years, it doesn't mean that the next day, tomorrow, it can do something to harm you. So I think it's bizarre what's happening, and that's why all the politicians are crazy with this situation.
Mm-hmm. On that note, Rony Vernet, we got to the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Just a second, I'm back.
Yep, not a problem. This is a great interview. Great interview. Very happy about this one. You guys having fun yet, too? All right, Ronnie's back. Hi, Destiny Rocks. How you doing? Fans are loving you in the chat room, my friend. Warden Dragon, how you doing? If any of you have questions for Ronnie, put them in capital letters, and I will get to them in the next half hour. Thank you again, Major Lee. You having fun, Ronnie?
Yes, sure. Very interesting questions. Thank you.
Don't want to be boring you at this time of night for you. Hi, Renee Cruz.
It was for me?
Nope, not yet.
Oh.
Not yet. We got just under 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Just under 2 minutes here on A.
Okay.
Major Lee, again, thank you, buddy.
Oh,
You're
thank
making
you for inviting me.
Oh, man, it's great to have you here. Kenneth Vedelo, welcome to SOR Chat. Mars, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. Paisley Parker. The snow at my house is about 2.5 inches, 3 inches. We don't have a lot of snow yet. About a minute to go here, Ronnie.
Okay.
Big thank you to Major Lee, times a bunch, Deb times two, Simon, and Matthew for the great super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and find something that you like. Well worth it. We're coming back in about 12 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFOs in Brazil. My name is Dave Scott. We are so glad to be earning your listening ears wherever you are tuning us on in. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. For the final time tonight, we say hello to Rony Vernet. He is from UAPBrazil.com. Well worth the information that he is delivering tonight. And if you missed portions of this show, definitely one you're going to want to check out for free on our archives. Rony, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
All right. We're going to start off with a couple of audience questions here for you, my friend. This one from Brown Dwarf. I kind of asked you this, but we'll ask again. Does the Amazon River have anything to do with UFO activity?
Yeah, I think yes, because many times you have this phenomena coming in and out of the rivers. The Amazon River is not different, but not only the Amazon River, we have other small rivers because the Amazon River is the main one, but we have many derivations of the Amazon River that goes to these indigenous communities that we have a lot of phenomena that sometimes traveling right above of this river, following the path of the river, or even going in and out of this river. So as I said, I think these waters in Amazon, also we are seeing the same in US, are very, very related to the phenomena activity.
That is excellent. All right, let's get to another question. Rony, what do you know about the Mage UFO flap? An alien was supposedly tracked down and killed there.
We have a lot of hoaxes during this case, a lot of misinformation. What I know is that what is real, what is fact is that at that time in May 2020, we have a lot of people seeing red and orange orbs around the place. Magé is located on a place that have a lot of water bodies, a lot of forests, is more kind of isolated in the state of Rio. And a lot of people saw these orbs and saw strange sounds like explosions. We have a military base there. It's like something like a Picatinny arsenal from Rio. It's an arsenal where they produce ammunitions and explosives. And strangely, at that time, the military wanted the people to get attention to that military base. They did many explosions that they never do. And remember, it was in the peak of the pandemic at that time of COVID. And that was a very strange behavior of military. And when I was there, I saw a lot of activity in other place, isolated inside the forest. Very, very a lot of activity of military. And that place was where the helicopters, a lot of helicopters. At that time, you see 10 helicopters at the same time, the same area, what's not normal for a small town. All the the residents witnessed it there. So have a lot of strange activities at that time. I truly believe something happened there, but I don't have any conclusion about what happened. A craft crashed there. There were beings there. There was a spy satellite that fell there. I don't know, but something really happened. And when I asked the military, the army, the Brazilian army, to tell what was that operation of helicopters, because we knew that was army helicopters, they say, no, this is just a training operation, nothing to see. But they refused to give any information about this training. We didn't see this training in their portals, websites. The trainings was suspended in the middle of pandemic, so they did some kind of operation, but I don't know what they were searching for. And they were all the time trying to bring the attention of the people to this military base, but what happened very, very far from there in the forest. But I don't know what happened.
All right, moving on to another question from our audience. Let's go to Brown Dwarf again, asking, is there a specific type of black magic being used when the phenomenon manifests?
I don't know a lot of these practices. I did not study them. But in many places that I visited where people see these cryptids, these strange hybrid creatures with red eyes and bad smell of sulfur, they saw that people were doing black magic there. And I starting to think that we as humans will have the power to open these doors to this kind of phenomena, to this kind of different creatures. I don't think these creatures have power for appear here by itself, but I think that our human consciousness can manifest this type of creatures there. There's a case US that they can do some analogy. That's the Mothman from Point Pleasant. And if you remember at that time, we have many bad accidents, like the bridge that fall, many people died. It was a very dark time in that city, which was the same time when these creatures start to happen. This Mothman, that for me is something, is a hybrid creature with red eyes, very, very similar to the hybrids we see here in Brazil. And maybe some people do some black magic, some rituals there, and because it was a lot of strange, bad things happening at the same time. I don't know, but my hypothesis is that we as humans can do these kind of works to manifest this type of creatures.
All right, let's move on to another question. Go to Cation. What's your opinion on changing the term UFO to UAP?
It's to reduce the stigma, to bring more scientists with the table without people remember from a Little Green Man, because I think the government, the military, was responsible to the depreciation of the term, doing jokes, doing these campaigns of misinformation. And I think this is a result of the military itself trying to use another term simply to try to go away from this stigma of this term. Just to just do it.
I'm a UFO guy.
I prefer the term UFO because we are used to say UFO. If you tell the regular citizen UAP, the people will don't know what it means. So and if you say UFO, everyone analyzes what is that. So this is the more proper term.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go over to Jay in Vancouver, who is asking, do you know the name of the legendary volcano in the Mato Grosso that is said to house an alien base inside of it?
Yeah, I have many folklore and many myth about these bases. Not this is not the only one. We have many others because, as I said, Brazil is a huge continental place, very preserved, untouchable areas where we have very strange activity. Mato Grosso is located in the center of Brazil, which the area, a very low density population area, where you have these volcanoes, these caves. There are places where you have, for example, in Amazon, many people don't know, but you have pyramids in Amazon. And we are discovering a lot of more using LIDAR technology. And we have these strange places where you have manifestation of the phenomena. And maybe these places are not a base, but maybe these places can reunite all the characteristics needed to open this door to the phenomena. Because we can think the phenomena physically, or we can think the phenomena more interdimensional, more exoteric. And I believe more in that non-physical interpretation, places where the phenomena can manifest because the environment or the consciousness of people can reunite some ingredients to manifest.
Keeping up with the questions, let's go to Major Lee in the United Kingdom. Could the dogman phenomena be linked to feral children raised by dogs and wolves?
No, we have a very bizarre case here in Brazil. It was witnessed in testimony by a mayor of the city. We have a mayor in the city, Amazon. That it's a coincidence because this mayor was the son of the mayor that treated the Operation Saucer case in Brazil in the 70s when people was affected by these light beams of these UFOs. So this mayor is very recent case. This mayor was called by the community saying, "Oh, it's not the same name we use here in Brazil. We use the other name, but I will use the dogman name just to facilitate." There's a dogman, and there's men that are fighting against this dogman. It was in the middle of the day. It was not in the night. And when the mayor arrived at that, he saw a huge black figure with another guy that using a machete to fight against this creature. And when mayor arrived, the creature simply disappeared, and the clothes of the man was all cut, and the man didn't have any injury. It's like the creature was able to scratch him all these clothes, but some time of strange thing happened where it was not able to affect the man. And contrary, the man said that he hit the machete many times in the creature, and he was not able to affect the creature. And other strange things that this village becoming infected by a very bad smell that lasted 3 weeks. It was people could not support that. It was very bad smell that remained because of the smell of this creature. So it's for me it's the most compelling case of this dogman-like creature here in Brazil because involving authority, the mayor of the city, that alleged that everything was real. So I don't think the explanation is the feral children for me. Maybe can have case about that, but very rare cases. But as I said, I think this is something very anomalous. Maybe some kind of interdimensional things, interdimensional creatures from other reality that came to our world from a door that maybe it's opened by ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Paisley would like to know, are the spirits of the Amazon coming to teach us more in this weird time? And are changes coming?
This indigenous village that I visited that was being affected by the phenomena, it was completely different from other cases because in this specific village they were not being hit by these light beams. Au contrary, the phenomena was only there observing them. And from indigenous interpretation, they think that is a phenomenon that is adapting people to its presence to maybe in the future try to contact them and maybe teach them something in the future. So this is not common because in all the history, in other indigenous villages, in other areas in Brazil, we have this historical case of attacks and people very affected, sometimes permanent injuries. And this is the first time in history that I see something that's not affecting them in a bad way. And was a very, very famous incident in May this year, May to June, where the indigenous chief was trying to see by itself this phenomena because all the village was telling him that it was happening and he could not see. So he spent 3 nights in a row trying to observe that. And at the third night, he was successful. He had a close encounter with an orange orb, like a mini sun in front of him. He got his shotgun, and when he was to pull the trigger, 1 millimeter to pull the trigger, the phenomena paralyzed him. He could not move one muscle. And if the phenomena wanted, he could send a light beam and get him unconscious because we saw that in the past in other villages. And this time the phenomena only paralyzed him and disappeared. So I think this is the case where the phenomena is at least neutral, different of other cases, and maybe could see something like that in the future, a contact where they can interact with this phenomenon.
Let's go to our good friend Human Carl here. There's been talk that there was United States military involvement in the UFO incident in 2020. Any truth to that or at any other times?
This is the same Maja case where the alleged crash that I mentioned. At that time, there are a lot of rumors, including military police saying that Americans were present, saying that the Americans was installed in the military police base there. But we don't have any official confirmation about that, only these stories that people talking. But if you consider that's a possibility that something strange happened and something could crash it there, we don't know if it's a human or no human. But if something crashed there, and I believe it's possible because the military were searching for something in the forest, probably the U.S. military was involved because the U.S. military was involved in crash retrievals all over the world, according to what we know. So from using the CIA, the Global Access Office, and I think the Virginia case, we have militaries from the U.S. here. So they have the USAF landing here at the same time near Virginia. So I really think this possibility could be real.
Let's head on over to our next question here. And let me just grab it here. It jumped up on me. Grandizer is asking, in 2004, around Arica, Chile, there was multiple sightings of gargoyles. As time went on, has there been a gargoyles to UFO connection? If you know, please elaborate.
Yes, if you think, if you not interpret the phenomena as something like a technological civilization, very advanced, if we think the phenomena that uses the technology to disguise itself, to not reveal his original identity, and maybe this phenomena is coming from another reality and not from another planet, we could reach a conclusion that the UFO phenomena, these gargoyles, these dogmen, all this stuff are coming from a parallel reality we can open a door in many ways to this kind of stuff come. So maybe they are connected this way. If we think that all this phenomena is something not from another place but from another reality and is arriving here.
Let's go over to Kenneth. What's your take on Operation High Jump?
Yes, there are many stories about Operation High Jump, involving these isolated places in the south, um, Antarctic, and so on. But I really think that the military did very strange things here, near in the extreme South America, in the Antarctic, and so on. But I don't know if it's correlated with anomalous phenomena. We don't have any strong evidence to confirm that. But if you think that the phenomena manifests more in these isolated places, there is a good chance that the Operation High Jump and other operations was done to investigating other stuff, and in a spin-off investigate also anomalous phenomena, because I think when the military arrived in these places, isolated place, they started to witnesses this weird phenomena because it's manifest in isolated place. So I think it's natural to think, yes, it could be some correlation.
Okay, let's go over to Secreto. What day would the Pope open the portal? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about the Pope?
The Pope will do a ritual to open portals, to open doors. But this is something that the Catholics do after some period in regular times. This happened many times before, so no, I don't think this is not the portal for this interdimensional beings to come here. I think it's just a regular religious ritual like the others. But we are living in strange times, right? So everything can happen.
Isn't that the truth? I don't know what's going to happen with that. I am curious. I'm not going to lie. I am curious about that. All right. Let's go to another one here. Brown Dwarf wants to know where you can find the best churrasco in Brazil.
The best churrasco in Brazil is the barbecue. Churrasco is barbecue. The best churrasco in Brazil is the south of Brazil, in Rio Grande do Sul, is the extreme south of Brazil, where we have the gauchos. The best churrasco in Brazil. You go there and you find it. And also a lot of UFOs. And I can show you something. You mentioned that. I have a surprise here. I have this piece in my hand. This piece in my hand. It's something between limestone and marble. At least touching it and feeling it, it's something like that. I don't know if it's that because I didn't analyze. I got this piece of fragment last week in Rio Grande do Sul, this place of the churrasco. This piece had in my hand had 40 years. It was from the 80s. A very, very famous people here in South Brazil, a very famous traditional family, was able to witness as a close encounter of the phenomenon that left 12 spheres, like marble, yellowish, whitish, something like marble spheres. And the owner of the ranch collected the spheres and gave a gift for all the persons close to him. And one of the spheres were a gift for his son, and his son gave me last week. So I'm going to send to laboratories in US, in Europe, in Brazil to analyze that. And we'll have some interesting thing very soon.
Rony, I want to say a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight, telling us the UFOs in Brazil story. Appreciate you, my friend. Coming up next, Swamp Dwellers in, then Jackie and Lee here for the Cryptid Report. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Ronnie, big thank you for coming on here tonight. Happy holidays to you, my friend. It was great getting to hear your incredible knowledge.
Thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me. It was very fun. Have nice end of year holidays for you and for your family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
You take care, my friend. Ronnie Vernet, everybody, UAPBrazil.com. We'll say goodnight to him. I'm going to take a quick break and quick hello to Jason Shredswell for the joining us in the chat room. Welcome to the chat. Extra Small Lee, I'll be right back, buddy. All right, I am back. I really like that guest. Hi, CS. How you doing? Really, really like that guest. All right. Thank you tonight to Major Lee with a plethora of super chats. Human Carl, Matthew, Deborah Rooney times 2, Simon as well. Thank you for the love, as well as, yeah, that's it. Lee went on a rampage there. Dave 101 was last night. Here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate hurting your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is Jeremiad, or Jeremiad. I think it's Jeremiad. Still sticking with that. Jeremiad is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
What I'm about to tell you happened 2 days ago in southwest Sweden. It was around 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and I decided to meet up with one of my friends. We both have mopeds, scooters, and drove to the grocery store to get a snack for a small trip. After that, we headed towards a beautiful sheep pasture that I had been to once and wanted to go to again. It's located maybe 15 minutes away from the center of our town. After a while, we came to what was a narrow road surrounded by a forest. Since it rarely drives any kind of vehicles out there, I started to drive in the middle of the road and sometimes even on the part of the road meant for approaching cars. One time, when I looked in my driving mirror, I saw my friend driving close to the edge of the road. At first, I thought she was trying to make a point, that I should stop on my part of the road and be more safe. But then she drove even closer to the edge and almost went down in the ditch. I stopped and waited till she caught up with me. We were both laughing and I asked her what happened. She answered, "I got distracted by something weird on the tree beside the road and forgot to turn." We laughed it away and continued driving. Later, when we sat in the sheep pasture, eating our snacks, we started talking about it again for some reason. I asked what she saw, and she described it, that it was some kind of wood plank that was nailed in a tree and what looked like some type of figure, maybe a person, with just holes as eyes. My reaction was like, "What the heck? That sounds disturbing." And she responded, "Yeah, it was kind of creepy." We decided to try to locate it again on our way home. We stopped by the road and I turned off the engine. When I looked up, I spotted it right away and it gave me the creeps. It was hanging there in a tree, looking all dead. I decided to take a picture of it when we drove home. When I saw it, my thoughts went straight to cults and murderers to put up some kind of sign to show that they've been there or as a hint to, maybe stay away. I don't think I will ever go out there again for a while. But what do you guys think about this? Maybe, and hopefully it's nothing, but something didn't feel right about it. So I live in the Upper Peninsula, and we have something called the Paulding Light. It's on an Indian reservation. Me and a few of my friends decided to head that way thinking it would be fun. It was Allie, Kara, Aaliyah, and myself. Well, about halfway through the hour or so drive to get to the Paulding Light, I started getting a weird feeling, and I don't really know how to put it, but it was like there was some kind of presence in the air. One minute we're laughing and having a good time, and the next we hit something, and Allie was kind of stunned, stopping the car. Whatever we hit, it was on the left side of the car because you could feel it under the car tires. So, me and Allie got out of the car to go check on that. We were trying to see what we hit, while Kara in the car ahead also stopped when she noticed we did. As we were walking to the spot where whatever we ran over was, we completely were thrown off by this foul smell, like something was rotting, but much worse. We got to the spot where we ran the thing over and we noticed a blood trail. We were feeling bad thinking it got hit and tried to walk off. With further investigation, the blood trail led off the road into a ditch covered in woods. Looking down, there was a dead porcupine with no head laying on the bottom of the ditch. As we were checking it, we heard a very, very loud scream. That's where the tipping point was. We got scared and started running back to the car. As we were running to Kara's car, about 60 feet away, we saw something just standing in front of her car. What got me was that it kind of looked like a naked man, but looking closer, something was very wrong with its legs. Another thing was it towered over her car, like it was awkwardly way too tall. This thing looked menacing. Once it noticed we were out of the car, it ran. The run terrified me. It's just the way it half skittered, and it all seemed so unnatural. Needless to say, we were extremely freaked out at this point, so we jumped in the car as fast as possible. Kara whipped around on the highway. She pulled up next to our car and calmly said, "We need to go home now." When we finally got back, she said the creature had yellow eyes, a human torso, and what looked to be goat legs, and that it would take its eyes off her till it ran back into the woods. I still get goosebumps thinking of it today, 3 years later.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Thousands of stories right there for you to grab. Here we go.
Oh, hello, Jackie.
No offense, Lee Strauss. You don't look like Jackie Harmon.
I don't, but there is a story behind this.
What's going on?
Okay, so I just got a text from Jackie, and apparently their power went out. They heard a big boom, and a bunch of sirens started coming around. So it sounds to me like it's possible somebody hit a transformer pole.
Oh, no. Well, let's hope those people are okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope, the people in the car and everybody around is okay. Yeah, exactly.
No kidding. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Dave. I mean, I'm just, it's a Friday night, man, and it's a great time for me. I look forward to doing my show every week. I just, it's just an intense feeling for me. I just love it. I enjoy it a lot, bringing on guests, talking to people, learning new things. It's amazing.
It is a lot of fun. And for people on our radio side who may not know, Lee hosts a show on our YouTube channel called Element 115 on Friday nights, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern for 1 hour right before this show. Well worth checking it on out and seeing how somehow Lee fits into extra small shirts with his big muscles that he has.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
We're gonna get Dave in one. We got this event or a get together in Vegas, and we're gonna try to get Dave in an extra small shirt.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
Well, just imagine a large person putting on a pair of extremely tight pantyhose, and that's what that's going to look like. But
dude, I am Chris Farley, fat man in a little coat. Okay, that's what it's all about. I will say this. Change of topics, though. I'm very proud that I got my Christmas shopping done early.
Well,
and all I have to do is the wrapping. And I'm usually, this close to Christmas, struggling right now. Like, what am I going to do? I have so much to do, and I'm actually quite chill about it. So I'm in a good mood tonight. So you can't insult me about my fat man in a little coat, because I'm the one who came up with that.
Well, that's okay. It's okay to make fun of yourself, as I make fun of myself quite often. So it elevates things a little bit. I like that.
Lee,
Definitely.
you have been a UFO hunter. You have been you're turning into a monster hunter as well. I mean, not by choice, but by experience.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see 2025 coming up for you, where you are going to be looking into more cryptid stuff rather than just focusing in on the UFOs?
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit, the cryptid side of things, because that obviously this is the cryptid report. So let's get into that. Last night you had some guests on, Dave, and I was just blown away by what they were talking about. Lake Crescent, which is in my backyard, basically, just on the peninsula over here. And I was talking to Toby Johnson, who is also looks for cryptids and Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that sort of thing. And I didn't realize what a hot spot Lake Crescent is. Not only that, the depth of that lake is crazy deep. They've never found the bottom, as far as we know. And in that area, Dave, it seems to be a lot of UFO activity, a lot of haunting activity because of the lake, and a lot of cryptid Bigfoot sightings around there. And I would really, really like to go over there this spring and summer and check that place out more in detail. I've been there several times, and it always felt different. That place has probably maybe about 10 to 15 residences around that lake. The rest of it, it's just pretty much wilderness, man. I mean, right into, the deep, dark, mossy environment that you have in the Pacific Northwest on the Olympic Peninsula. Moss is hanging down from these trees, Dave, 4 or 5 feet in some places. It's just the deepest, darkest, wettest location anywhere, really. It really seems that way. It's amazing. As anybody's ever seen pictures of the Hoh rainforest and that sort of thing, that's the environment you're looking at. Moss is everywhere. It's growing on everything, and you can't see 20 feet into the woods. I mean, it's an amazing sight. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's so much water and waterfalls and creeks and everything that runs in there. You could go 50 feet into the woods and never be seen again. You'd never find your way out.
No, I've seen that before too, my friend. In those areas. And if you spend more time in the forest, it is scary how the forest could just consume you. I will never forget. I told this story just the other night. I will never forget, a few years ago, I took a few people out to one of our original Sasquatch sites, which since got logged, unfortunately. But there was good reason behind that, because they were putting fire breaks along all the logging roads to help prevent forest fires. And they just happened to clear the area literally 10 feet from my Sasquatch spot. and they must have seen my gifts there because they left it.
Yeah.
Right. And which is cool. But nonetheless, we were in there, and this is only about 200 feet off the road, 250 feet off the logging road. And we're in there, and we're show the Sasquatch spot, show them where we found the 15-inch print. And I said, okay, well, we've been here about 20 minutes or so. Why don't we get going?
Yeah.
I didn't know which way was out. And I'm looking all around, and it's like everything looked foreign to me.
Yep.
And this is a place I'd been to 50, 60 times, 40, 50, 60 times at that point. And I didn't know which way was out. And all of a sudden, I started to panic. I didn't want to show it in front of anybody, but deep down, my anxiety is like, how do we get out of here?
Right.
It all looks the same. Where's the Sasquatch spot? Because I know if I have this, find the Sasquatch spot, I know I got to go that way. I couldn't even find the Sasquatch spot. And I found myself all of a sudden starting to go through the trees until I heard a vehicle coming up the logging road. And this is a logging road that does not get a lot of traffic, man. Not a lot of traffic. I mean, I've been up there in the snow, and I've been the only set of tire tracks up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's scary how the forest can just take you, even to places that you've been to a number of times.
Right. You know, in the Olympic forest, the tree cover, the canopy is so thick, you would think it was dusk or dawn during the middle of the day. It is that dark in there. Once you get in, good luck. Good luck.
What is attracting you to cryptids?
It's the experience that I've had in my past. I've had a couple encounters. I think we've talked about them before, but you know, the thing, getting into the UFO phenomena for a second, because it kind of ties in for me. There have been times where one phenomena is brushing up against another phenomena, and suddenly you decide, and suddenly you realize that maybe these things are tied in somehow in some way, and now your narrow pathway, your narrow view of what you believe reality is expanding wider and wider, and now is enveloping this other phenomena and another phenomena, and so on and so forth. You start to realize there's a much bigger picture here that needs to be investigated. I'm going to shortchange myself if I keep looking at one thing, because I'm not getting the full picture. So I need to branch out. I need to look at the other things that have happened to me and see if I can investigate that as well, because that is tying in certain ways.
Yeah, I think though that there is a difference between looking after UFOs and looking after cryptids. What do you see the big difference in the way you're going to have to change your investigation game?
Well, it's using different equipment, it's using different techniques, adding in things that, you know, you could use almost like a cross-platform type of technology, something that you would look at UFOs with, like a thermal camera. You could also look for, you know, Bigfoot with a thermal camera. So those are kind of like cross-platform, but in other ways too, when you're talking like a parabolic mic, what would you be able to find out about a craft and the noise that a craft might make with a parabolic dish? What frequencies might be coming off a craft? You can't audibly hear anything, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting infrasound from a craft, or you might be getting ultrasound from a craft. So there's different things that you can look into on both sides of the fence here with Bigfoot and UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you think, I know your love and your passion is UFOs, but do you think that, you know, you might find some uniqueness towards going after the cryptids next?
Well, I do find a uniqueness. I find that in some places that I've gone, where I think the Bigfoot are not as nice, just because of the feeling that I get in a location. And I would say that that's probably due to them not wanting me to be there. And in other locations, like I've been, back in May, or June, where it seemed like they were most interested in me and Jackie. So those type of situations, I want to foster those kind of relationships with Bigfoot or Bigfoot families or whatever it may be. Going back to those locations where I've had positive experiences, I want to go back there again, and I want to have those experiences, because I think we can learn a lot from that. From a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot that wants to have some sort of interaction with you. I think in your spot up there, if they're leaving, branches, or they're leaving sticks by a tree, marking it and saying, hey, this is for you guys, it's the same people that were up here last year. That's what I'm talking about, is fostering those relationships with them.
Talk about that relationship thing, because I don't think a lot of people really understand the whole relationship aspect that you're trying to build, or not just you, but a lot of us investigators and people who are curious are trying to build in these hotspots.
Well, first of all, it's a matter of going into different hotspots. Dave, I've been to plenty of different hotspots where I've had these sorts of encounters. One out of probably 6 that I've been to now have made me feel welcomed, and like I need to go back. I want to go back because it feels like they want me back there, for whatever purpose. I don't know. I think it's just the fact that they have an interest in myself or Jackie or whatever we had going on. But it seemed welcoming almost. And not only that, like even afterwards in my own mind, it was like, you need to come back here. You need to come back here. And I don't know if it's my own mind playing tricks on me or suggesting this sort of thing, or if it's a calling. I almost lean towards it's a calling. Like they truly want us or me to go back in that location.
And you're talking Mount Adams there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I feel that, you may go to 10 different spots and you might find one location where you're feeling like it's a welcoming spot. It's a known cryptid area, and it feels like they want you there. And the only thing that I can think of is that they're interested in what we got going on. Like they're truly interested in us. It's not like this is our spot, we don't want you here, because I felt that many other times. But this was more like, we want to see what you're doing. We're interested in what you're doing. We're interested in having some kind of dialogue. It's almost like somebody putting out a welcome mat for you.
That is the big mystery right there. What is that welcome mat? What is it about? Are they actually trying to make communication, or are they trying to lure you in? That's the mystery that I'm feeling as well in my hotspot. We'll talk more about that when we return with extra small Lee Strauss here on the Cryptid Report, filling in for Jackie Harmon.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Lee, we're clear.
Okay.
Sweet Lee.
Your hair is looking great tonight.
Oh, dude, I had to cancel my hair appointment yesterday.
Yeah.
I like doing that, but what do you do?
Well, did you get a good rub down? Did you go see the masseuse?
No, not yesterday.
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
not yesterday.
It's amazing to me, Dave, that there's so many researchers, common people like myself that do the same sort of things that I do or that you do, and we don't even realize how close we live to these people.
Mhm.
It's astonishing. Having friends on Facebook, and years later, you find out that holy crud, he's 2 towns over from me, and that sort of thing. It's just it's kind of sobering, And of course, everybody wants to go out into the woods with you.
You know what it is, though? I will say this, and once again, I'm not a researcher. I'm an enthusiast, but I'm going to start researching this one area, and I'm going to do things that I've never done before, like film, take notes. Okay. And that's hard for me because I just go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't usually do much about that. Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got hair appointments. Manimal, how you doing? Welcome to SOR chat. But how can I put this without sounding like an asshole? Um, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, let me say this. Research things in your own flavor of research. Isn't it just, first of all, isn't it just about your own knowledge, right?
Mhm.
Isn't
I know what I want to say, and I apologize for cutting you off. I know I'm not a researcher. I know
Mhm.
there's a ton I need to learn, but I don't trust a lot of people, especially in this field, which tends to have a lot of know-it-alls. And even though I'm not a researcher, I am I've talked to a number of high-level researchers and investigators enough over the 10 years I've been doing this show to know what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And when I add my own intuition into it, I really, really have a tough time accepting people for what they are.
yeah.
And it's like I go into my local store that has gems and they have incense and all sorts of rocks and all this. And the ladies who work there are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when they see me come in, they're immediately all about, what can you tell us today? What advice do you have for us today? And with the one, I was like, you're in a shop where everybody tells you you're getting hammered by the message, all of these cross messages every day by people who think they're connected and really aren't because it's popular today to be intuitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, you're taking on all of that weak energy, and it's not healthy for you. Luca Vega, welcome to SOR chat. So when I'm putting something like this together and I really don't know where it's going to go, you just don't grab that first psychic who says, hey, I'll do that with you. You don't grab that first researcher who says, hey, I want to do this with you. You don't grab that person with the camera who says, hey, I'll film this for you. Hey, Rugged Source, how you doing? Right?
Yeah.
We're going to come back here in about 20 seconds. But that's where I'm stuck. Okay? And this project, as you know, because I want you to come up here for it, it's bigger than what we know. Here we go, bud. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We call him Sweet T Lee around here. Lee Strauss wears extra small shirts because he's one of them workout people who wants his muscles to look bigger than they are. I'm teasing, Lee. You're in shape. I'm not. What's it like being able to run on a treadmill for 35 seconds? I don't know. You know?
Well, being in the construction industry, for the last 30 plus years, you get used to running around. So I'm not as agile as I used to be, but I try.
I love it, man.
I do. So we were talking about Crescent Lake.
Yes.
And your guests yesterday were fantastic. And then I had one on as well tonight. And they're all talking about the Olympic National Forest and how deep and dark and murky that place is. And I'm sure you guys have some similar places up, like maybe Vancouver Island and some locations that are very similar to that. And that's where those nests have been found, is out there in the Olympics. If you've ever seen the Olympic Project or any of that sort of thing, that's all going on out there. Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours west and north of me. And that's where Toby Johnson is as well. And I would really like to spend some time out there this summer at Crescent Lake, doing maybe a weekend or a 3-day event out there, just looking for anything anomalous in that area, because that lake is deep and nobody knows how deep it is. Not only that, the fact that it's very possible that it's tied into other lakes in the area, very possibly. And not only that, but maybe even the ocean. I haven't done any sort of, I don't know if anybody has done salinity tests out there, but I'm sure they have. But there's other big lakes out there as well. It's not just Crescent Lake. You've got Ozette Lake, where I've had one of my Bigfoot encounters. And you have some others. I'm not remembering the names, but there are other big lakes out there as well. And all these lakes could be tied in somehow underneath, through underneath the all the mountains of the Olympics, which are quite extensive, by the way. I had no idea until I went out there hiking up on some of the mountain peaks and across and whatnot. And I'll tell you, it's a lot bigger than you think. Once you get out there, you see it from this side, it looks small, but you get out there on it and it is just massive. It is massive.
It's amazing how big it really is, because most people don't go out in the forest, man. They may go take a little hill and hike a hill right by their house or whatever it may be, but nobody takes that extra 40, 50-mile drive into the forest and actually sees what nature is really like.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of people, Dave. That's the other thing about the Olympics. There's not a lot of people that live out there. You know, there's a couple smaller towns, you know, on the coastline and whatnot, but it is pretty much just a barren wilderness out there. Yeah. So somebody is race fan is saying that Crescent Lake is 624 feet deep. I'm thinking that's probably a known thing or known depth, but I don't know that for sure. Like your guest said last night, nobody knows how deep it is at its deepest point. And it's a big body of water. The road that goes along Crescent Lake it's just a beautiful drive because it winds around the lake, and you've got big mountains on one side of the lake, and you've got these big mountains that you're driving up next to, and there's waterfalls coming down and then bouncing near the road and then under the road and right into the lake. I mean, it's just amazing. And there's also, Dave, when you're on the lake, it is such a decent sized lake that it's got tidal. It's got like waves, you know, enough wind comes through there that there's quite the wave action going on out there. And you wouldn't want to be out on a boat when there's some nasty weather, because you could definitely get capsized pretty easily. There's like your guests were saying last night, there's plenty of people that have drove into that lake and died. And I totally believe that. You go up this long hill and everything's wooded. And you go up this long hill, you get to the top, and you start diving. And when you come crest over the hill, you're going right down towards the lake. And it's pretty steep. And you're right on the edge. It's like you're on the edge of a cliff when you're driving down towards this lake. There's not much room. If somebody tried to get around you, Dave, that would not be a good situation at all. Not at all. And it is so thick in there, like I said. But definitely have heard of a lot of Sasquatch activity in that area. And I need to get in there and do the research, do the work, and see what I can come up with. And it looks like this summer I may have a chance, as well as going up and seeing you in May. So definitely looking forward to that. And I'd like to key in something a little bit here that I realized this morning when listening to your show from last night. Last night, I had a dream about chipmunk in a tree, squawking and carrying on, chirping like the angriest chipmunk I'd ever seen. It was like, if you can imagine a chipmunk in a tree just stomping its feet on the branch and carrying on and making it the worst racket you could possibly imagine. Well, that was going on in my dream. And I was like, what is that about, as I'm looking up at the chipmunk? And then through the forest, Dave, there was a crashing and a thunderous roar of activity coming towards me through the brush, smashing and crashing and tearing apart things like a very large bull was running through the forest directly towards me. And I had that dream last night, and I woke up thinking, though, that's kind of weird. That's odd. And then I listened to your show this morning, Dave, and you talked about being in your spot and the chipmunks going crazy when something's coming. And I just about jumped out of my shorts. I was like, you got to be kidding me. If I'm going up there, what am I going into?
Well, one of the things that I point out about the spot that I'm going to be investigating next year is you'll hear the birds off in the distance, but around this area, there is no birds making noise. And as you continue on, it's one of those things I never really noticed until this year, that every time we're there, you don't hear birds. How the hell do you not hear birds in nature?
Yeah. Not in
not in your vicinity.
Right.
Okay. And the squirrels and chipmunks, they are known to be nature's security alarm. Because the minute that that something strange is in their area or predatory in their area, they go set off, and that's how they keep safe from a lot of the other animals, because they're a warning signal that there are something strange or weird or predatorial coming into their area, and it allows the other animals to be on alert.
Yep. Yep.
And nature has this way, man. Like, if you're not out there, and I'm not saying for a hike in the Cascade Mountains, doing the grouse grind in Vancouver, or those, those suburbia hills in Los Angeles or wherever you may be, go out in nature and actually see how nature acts. And I'm saying this as a city boy. This is just fascinating to me, learning all of this.
Yep.
And being able to present it for the first time as like factual evidence. And so I don't know in that area if they're, and I got this stupid feeling in my head. Well, maybe that they are quiet there because they don't want to disturb the spirits.
Ah.
Right. And I don't know if that's true or not. There's no way I could ever prove that. But it's one of those things that I want to look into when I start this investigation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you definitely need to. But the thing is you won't spend the night there, and I'm planning on spending the night there.
Yeah, you could die.
That's the concern, right? My first concern.
The only thing that I want is when you come up here, okay, you need an exit vehicle. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Is an exit vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to have somebody with me. I don't want to spend the night out there alone. So I would like to have somebody there with me, and I've got a couple ideas. But yeah, that's, I generally don't get spooked too often. So here I am sitting here in Washington State, not being up where you are, and thinking, yeah, I can do that, no problem. But the thing that in back of my mind that's going is grizzly bears. Okay. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about right now. And yeah, that freaks me out a little bit. Bigfoot, not so much. Ghost spirits, no. Aliens, ETs, not really. Big, just a grizzly bear, a big grizzly bear, that scares the crap out of me.
Well, we'll send little Marky Spender up there with you, so that way you can at least have some sort of protection while you're there.
Yeah, I can't take my pointy sticks across the border. So that's one thing.
Yeah, but oh God, maybe I'll do it again. I don't know. I'm gonna go wherever they tell me to go, man. Yeah. If I gotta stay the night up there with you, I will.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty chill about things like that. So it's just it's the things that I can't foresee. I don't have problems with any of the Bigfoot or the alien stuff. That's old hat now. But yeah, the grizzly bears are something else. It's like land sharks.
When you set up your gear, you're mainly pointing your cameras to the sky.
Not always.
But how are you going to do it differently?
Well, in a situation where I'm looking for Bigfoot, I'm not necessarily pointing my cameras to the sky. I'm using a lot of trail cameras and that sort of thing. Trail cameras that are no glow trail cameras, so you can't see that infrared light and that sort of thing is what I'll use. Thermal, that kind of thing as well. I can't record forever with thermal. Unfortunately, I'm not equipped to do that, but I can record for about 4 hours with my thermal camera. There's some other equipment, that I can deploy, mostly listening type devices and trail cameras and that sort of thing, can be left out all night long. I'm going to have them in a way where they're triangulated.
Triangulated.
The word triangulated. Yeah, exactly. So that basically one camera is seeing another camera, seeing another camera, seeing another camera, but also seeing where I'm at night. That's kind of my theory. If there's any game trails, putting cameras looking down game trails. In one location, I took a 26-foot extension ladder and got way up in the trees and faced them like down towards the ground. But that didn't work. I didn't capture anything. I think they know somehow. I don't know how it is that they know, but they do, even with cameras that have no infrared glow that can be seen by us or wildlife, but they might be a different story altogether. So
I thought about that, is how to get a trail camera up and actually get out of their way, so that way they're not actually seeing it.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to matter. At least the place that I took mine, we didn't see anything on those trail cameras, and we got them way up. So it doesn't mean that we can't do that in your spot and get a different result, because it's very possible. And
so do you think then the chances, okay, let's say you're coming up here, or you're going to New York, or you're going to Wisconsin, or you're going to Texas. Do you think meditation works on setting up the activity?
I believe that we're getting into the woo here a little bit, but I believe
but it's not woo though. That's the thing. It's not woo. It's wondering if the power of the mind can make something happen.
The power of the mind can make things happen. Sure. Absolutely. But I believe that just saying that, hey, knowing a spot on Google Earth or whatever it is map you're looking at and saying, hey, I'm going here. I would like it if you join me here at this spot during this time, and putting that out to the universe, or whatever. I think that does help in a way. I think it does. I mean, it felt like I was almost called to this location where I went to Mount Adams 4 years before I actually went there. And I could only assume that I was given that information somehow. So why not basically like broadcasting the fact that you're going to be in a location at a certain time? Why wouldn't that work? It's just reverse of whatever information I somehow got from the ether. It's a little bit woo, but
see, that's what I wonder, is if you got to almost manifest the sightings when you go into a new area.
Well, I think even if it's a new area, what I've done, Dave, is I've taken Google Earth. I get on Google Earth often, and I look at different locations, and it's like they don't speak to me, but I kind of get a weird, a feeling about it. And I think, okay, well, this spot seems good. Like I know of a spot at Baker that I haven't gone before, up a trail that in a location that I really want to go to. And it feels like this is an active area. And I can't explain why it feels like it's an active area, but it does feel that way to me. Does that mean when I go there, am I going to get activity? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that I feel like this is a spot that I need to go is enough for me to, do the trip and hike in there and check it out. But I do think setting your intention. I do think that certain places call to people for certain times. I mean, there's a lot of abductees, Dave, that feel like they're called to a location. You need to get in your car. You need to drive. You need to go wherever. You just need to go, right? and then they end up getting picked up or whatever the case may be. I think this is something similar to that.
That I don't know. It could be. It sounds logical, but it also really goes to show, Lee, how many doors are open when you go down this path.
Yep. You get that thought in your mind and you start exploring and you start flipping pages in books and you start reading, you start watching videos online, you start opening your mind to that possibility, and you start doing that. Things start to fall into place somehow. And it becomes more and more.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, you take a researcher like Grant Cameron, who has gone down so many different paths. Some of them are dead ends. Some of them are still going to this day. And people critique and criticize him for the UFO paths he's taken, whether it's abductees, whether it's people who claim to fly the craft, whether it's near-death experiences or telepathy or time travel or whatever it is. But you have to follow the path to see where it's going to go and whether it's a dead end or not. And a lot of times you find a lot of them mysteries that kind of, that are never solved. But all you have is the people's experiences who've actually gone through them. We got about 20 seconds.
Yeah, well, I would just invite anybody out there to just follow the path that they're given. Things will start lining up for you. Just follow that path, because that's where you're going to find the nuggets at the end.
Lee, I want to say a big thank you for filling in for Jackie Harbin on the Cryptid Report. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. It is always a good time to be able to say that to your friends and people who are like family, like Lee is to me. As we say goodnight to Lee. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background. The little brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgam, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. There he is, Big Bad Lee, just like that.
Dave with the fantastic hair.
That's right. Look at Simon's comment on the screen. When Lee sets up his camera, he also always makes sure to get a good bicep shot first. Exactly, Simon. Exactly. Uh-huh.
Well, if you only knew.
Oh, truth hurts there a little bit, eh? There, Major Lee, or what?
Oh, no. You only knew. No, I don't set up the camera for that. It's the mug.
Sure you don't.
Anyway, so yeah, I definitely would like to come up in May for that. Plus our event there in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll set a date. I'd like you to try and be, we'll figure out a game plan. Because I need, over the next couple of months, I'm going to be putting things together
Yeah.
that I haven't had a chance to sit down and do yet. You know, like I want to come at this very logically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This isn't even though we're going to be dealing in woo, this isn't a woo thing for me. You know, this is, as Merle said the other day, this is personal,
I get that.
And we just got to figure it out. And like to this day, I don't even know what I'm trying to figure out.
Just more evidence of the stuff that's happening up there.
But Lee, see, don't take this insultive, because Merle is much the same way as you. You guys are very, very evidence-based.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more, because of my background and my education, I'm more a storyteller.
Right.
I'm looking for the story of what's going on. The evidence, of course, will tell it, but I'm not an investigator, man. I don't know first thing about fucking evidence, right?
Well, you document the evidence. I mean, that's what you do. You mull it over. It's really a funny thing too, because with the evidence that you gather when you're out, you might not understand it right away. It might take you a couple of years to understand the evidence that you got clear enough in your own mind where you say, well, I think I have a conclusion. The problem is that you'll get more evidence and that'll contradict or change your mind about the evidence that you got previously. So it's very difficult. It's it's much like finding out who you are, or finding out about who your children really are as they're growing up. The things that are just twist you around from one spot to another. Yes, it's exhilarating and when it's happening, and you get a bunch of these aha moments later on. I mean, and it really helps define what your beliefs are. Really, that's what it really does. Is it changes you and it shapes you and it molds your beliefs.
See, part of my problem that I'm having, that I'm struggling with too, is that area is still an open investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're dealing with something that's still an open investigation, like one of the things, and I'm going to use Ghost Adventures for an example here. Now, the event up here in 2025 will be the 60-year anniversary of it. Dark Protocol, you lost again or what? Thought you didn't like it around here. But it'll be the 60-year anniversary of that fateful crash.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm sensitive about is there are people in my town who had relatives on that plane.
Oh yeah.
Including one of the ladies who owns one of the hair salons. Both her parents were killed on that plane.
Gotcha.
Right. And I don't want to. There's two things that are going on in my mind with this. Number one, I don't want to upset people who are relatively, still very close to this situation. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a bother for me. The other thing too is people in Vancouver were really, really upset when Ghost Adventures did the Elisa Lam case at the suicide hotel in LA, the Cecil, whatever it's called,
right?
And that's the girl who was found. There was weird video of her in the elevator, and then she disappeared. They found her in in a water tank,
Yes. Yes.
right? And police say it was suicide, but many people say there's no way she could have opened up that door
Yeah.
to get into that tank.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be. People in Vancouver were still pissed off because that was a sensitive case, you know. And her parents had to relive it over and over again, and they still own a restaurant in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And now you got Zach Bagans and his team, not shitting on him for it, but you have Zach Bagans and his team going into that location without any type of acknowledgement to the family, to the parents, or anything like that. But the conundrum that I'm in is I'm not there for the plane crash. The plane crash is a byproduct of what is going on there. It might be the direct source, but how it happened, why it happened, that doesn't matter to the story that I'm telling.
I would say, in a situation like that, giving that area the utmost respect and going in there in an honorable state of mind, and you're honoring the land, you're honoring the people that were there.
But we have, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Like aliens and Bigfoot, man.
Well, just like we were talking about earlier, you're bringing that stuff forward, in your own consciousness. You're thinking about it. You do this show, almost nightly, except for the weekends, and you're talking to all these people that are involved with this. Yourself, you've been involved with the alien activity. I think the more that we bring this sort of thing around us, the more likely we are to experience it. So, yeah, you could be getting all of that activity in that one spot. And that spot's going to be a hot spot for many reasons, but then again, just because you're involved in this stuff, it's almost like you're a beacon for it. You've become a beacon for it in a location that is like a beacon itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, when you do come up here,
Uh-huh.
bring as many batteries as you can, because you will likely lose your batteries within a day and a half, if that.
Yeah, I figure this is common, so I use a Faraday bag for my batteries so that they do not get discharged.
Yes, Treebird, Dave got aliens. Bombshell Bomber, how are you? Christine Lynn, good to see you. Christine Lynn likes a good tug on Tim Mothman's goatee.
I heard that we were handing out tugs on Mothman's goatee, so I'm kind of in for that.
Yeah, Tim has offered up for everybody who comes to our Vegas event. It's not an event; it's a get together. May 1st to 5th gets one free tug on Tim Mothman's goatee. Robert Anthony, how you doing?
Love that. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll be loading up the old Forerunner with as much equipment as I can possibly carry. Trying to get that across the border is going to be fun.
if you just the Canadian border guys are pretty cool that way. Just be honest with them. Tell them, hey man, I'm going to search for Bigfoot up in the Caribou.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll be like, are you serious? And you'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Going to meet a buddy up there. We're gonna go. Todd Sears, how you doing? Yeah. Anyways, for the rest of you, because it looks like my computer wants to be updating. For the rest of you, we will have a show on Monday night. There is no Sweet Robbie G this weekend, but we will have a show on Monday night. And we're going to take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off. Then we are going to, from there, be back on Boxing Day for those of us who celebrated, or the 26th for the rest of you. Normal people call it Thursday. Okay, we will be back to regular scheduled programming Thursday and Friday. And then I believe Robbie G will be back that weekend. And we'll be taking New Year's Eve and January 1st off as well. So Monday night, I'm going to be doing a show, which is a UFO year in review. I'm going to have a special panel with us on there. I think you guys will like it. Thank you to all our super chatters tonight. Deborah Rooney ×2, Matthew, Major Lee, Human Carl, Simon ×2. Really appreciate the love and support. Everybody, I will talk to you on Monday night. We're going to have a good one. You all stay there. Lee, hang out for a bit. And we'll see you very, very soon, everybody. You take care. Much love.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.